Is it running? Okay, then I would start. So, hello everybody. I'm very happy that so many of you came to our first talk of our new series of the Oikos Talk series, Sustainability Around You. And today our topic is energy consumption and sustainability. A special welcome to our three speakers. We are very happy that you came, and also thank you to Günther Getzinger who organized the room for us. So my name is Linda Segerer. I'm studying circular economy in the University of Graz, and I'm at the Oikos group since this semester, so I'm more or less a newbie. And yeah, but before we dive into today's topic, I will just briefly present Oikos. So, what is Oikos? So we are a student association in Graz, and we want to inform, educate, and transform academia for a sustainable tomorrow. And we want to do this with different projects, and one of this project is Oikos Talks. And yeah, this is our event series where we want to inform, connect, and discuss important issues related to sustainability. And so, and our topic, as I said already today, is sustainability around you. Energy, sustainability and energy consumption. So, what will happen tonight? So first we will introduce just briefly our today's topic, then we want to introduce our three fabulous speakers, and then we will start open discussion with our special format of today, the fishbowl format. And in the end, I will shortly wrap up and give you some extra information, also some outlooks of our next talks. And with this, I will hand over to Anne.
Hi together. It's really nice to see so many faces here today. My name is Anne, as Linda shortly introduced me. I've been now part of Oikos since March this year, so I am also quite new. And I'm studying in Bachelor's in Environmental System Sciences and with focus on business administration as well as natural science and technology. I'm going to quickly introduce you to the format that we are having today, because when you probably came here, you thought okay, what's happening? Why is there not a separate space for the speakers? Why are we in this round circle? That has all quite the sense, because we want to make today's fishbowl, or today's discussion like a fishbowl. And this means you see here 2 empty chairs, which can be occupied by any of you at any given point if you want to raise a questions or if you want to actively participate in the discussion. But also, since it's going to be quite interactive, we have a few housekeeping rules. And these housekeeping rules are first of all, okay, respect each other. Let everybody speak out. Let everybody finish speaking. And also, if you're sitting on one of the chairs so that everybody can have a turn, please only sit there for around 7 minutes. If you want to exchange with somebody, if one of those chairs or both of those chairs are occupied, just pat or touch the person on the shoulder that you want to exchange with, and then the person should get up and leave the circle and you can enter. You can ask your questions, as I've said before, at any given point, and also for our lovely online viewers that are also watching today, hi to you guys online. You can write your questions at any time in the chat, and then our lovely streaming team will forward them to us. And yeah, that's pretty much it from my side. And let's start with a little icebreaker.
So we want to create a familiar atmosphere today. For this, we want to invite you to talk to your neighbor, and for this we ask some questions. So why are you here? Introduce yourself, and what do you expect from the talk? So 3 minutes, and speak with your neighbor, please.
No, you can just
or turn around and
It's my first time. Right now, in France, I don't study anything, but I finished my master's in sustainable No, not here. I don't
You're really into it, actually, right? Very cool. Very Technik back would be that's the second term I have been.
Could I grab your attention, please? Please. Turn to your seats.
Sure.
Yes, I could see there were already many discussions going on, so I hope we can continue this on these two chairs, and I hope we have a lot of people who want to join us. So let's go on with our today's topic.
Yeah, so I'm going to introduce you quickly to our topic, which is, of course, energy consumption. And just a few facts for you. The energy sector has about 49,929 kilotons of CO2 equivalents, which makes about 67.8% of the total national emissions of Austria. This is according to the Umweltbundesamt and was reported like that in the Austria's annual greenhouse gas inventory. And right now, Austria has about the EU has the 40% renewable energy target, Green Deal. And we've asked ourselves, like, how can we achieve this goal? What are also the short-term benefits of it? And what are the long-term benefits if we achieve those goals? As well, we wanted to know, okay, how can we be a part of the change? Because I think maybe some of you already know our hashtag changers, not managers. And we want to really implement this hashtag into our life and want to get a lot of information from you guys. And with this, I'm going to introduce you. So first of all, I'm really pleased that today here is the head of the Graz Environmental Office. And this is Diplom Engineer Dr. Werner Brutsch. I'm really happy that you're here today. He is the head of the Graz Environmental Office since 2008 and made his doctor in chemistry here at TU Graz, actually, right?
No, the diploma degree in process engineering here at the Graz University and a PhD in sciences at the Innsbruck University.
And we are really happy and that you're here because the Grazer Umweltamt does already so much things, for example, Energiesparen macht Schule. So we are really happy that we are able to live in such an active city. Then also a really nice welcome to Adrian Sotte.
Thank you.
Adrian Sotte has worked and lived here in Austria now since 5 years. And he's a solar energy trainer and renewable energy consultant. And then also a really warm welcome to Jakob Kreisel. He is representative of Mr.io here today. Mr.io is a startup in the energy section, which is for me personally not so common. So I was really happy to hear that there are also startups in this section. And yeah, maybe all of you guys can shortly introduce you in like 2 to 3 minutes. And let's start with you.
Thank you very much for the invitation to speak here about this very important topic. As I already mentioned, I have a degree in process engineering from the Technik University. I started my studies here in this house in September 1979. So it's a long time ago. And then finished my studies with the PhD at the University of Innsbruck in chemical technology and in microbiology. For 5 years, I have been working at a plant engineering company, Wagner Biro. This was in the 80s a very large company with more than 4,000 employees here in Graz and in Vienna. It doesn't exist anymore, but maybe some from you know the street name Rechbauerstraße in the western part of Graz. It's coming from this company. I worked there at the Department for Research and Development, and our main topics of work there were waste gas purification, for example, for the desulfurication of flue gas from coal-fired boilers, and wastewater treatment and chlorine-free bleaching of paper, pulp and paper. The basics for the first chlorine-free bleached copy paper that was produced here in Austria at the end of the 80s was part of my work at this time. In 1990, I started to work at the municipality, the city of Graz, and until 2008, I was responsible as head of division for air protection in the Graz area. It was a very hard work to do because Graz was known at this time as the fine dust capital of Europe, and it was not a good labor. I was also lecturer at the University of Applied Sciences in Burgenland for some years, and I'm still teacher at the Chemical Academy here in Graz for about 24 years now. Since 2008, I'm head of department at the Environmental Protection Office. Our main topics there are the transformation of the energy system here in the city of Graz, always on the city level. My special topic is not the federal level for Austria, but the city level. Air protection, waste management, noise reduction, and most important at the moment, the climate protection theme to decarbonize here the city of Graz. And that's a very, very hard work to do. Since 2013, I'm also head of the working group Heat Supply 2030, which is concerned with the decarbonization of the district heating system here in the Graz area. And for the Austrian Association of Towns, I am member of the Advisory Board for Energy and the Advisory Board for Climate Protection at the Austrian Federal Ministry in Vienna.
Thank you so much for your introduction. Maybe you want to continue, Jacob?
Yep, thank you for having me. I finished my master, or I specialized in my master in renewable energy systems, and then ended up somehow in the software development. And in the last years, I worked with smart metering systems and sensor systems, and we made the smart meter rollout finally happening here in Styria. So I worked for some grid operators and set up the backend systems and billing systems for smart metering. And I always thought there must be more to do with the data we are collecting now, and we need to create a value also for society and the end customers. And so I joined Nista.io, a startup where we focus on energy efficiency, which we do by analyzing data. For example, smart meter data, also other sensor data. Our main focus is the producing industry, because there the CO2 emissions are really high. And we think we need a shift in how energy is produced, but we need also a shift in how we consume energy. And the energy not consumed is the best energy. And so our main goal is to make energy efficiency a daily habit, and therefore we are building a platform for energy efficiency, and we sell a subscription model for industry, where they get daily insights in their energy consumption.
Really nice, thank you. Adrian, please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you all and welcome for today's session. For me, it's the first time that I'm sharing in front of a young and enthusiastic public. Part of myself, I come from Mexico. I'm 30 years old, 5 years already experienced the transition. Also back home in Mexico City. Over there, I used to work for a nice startup as a solar energy consultant, and my job back then was to get close to families and present the solar revolution. I decided to specialize in the topic of photovoltaics, and that's why I joined a nice program in Upper Austria in the University of Applied Science in Wels. And I had the opportunity to share classroom with brilliant people all over the world, coming from different countries and interested in the same topic, energy transition and renewable energy production. My experience working here in Europe was in Vienna for a management consulting company, and the last year I was working as a solar energy trainer. So my experience comes from different levels. So as a consultant, I was able to learn and dig in about the programs that are happening in Europe-wide, but also with focus on Eastern Europe and mainly Austria as a whole. So it's not about the region, if it's Styria, Upper Austria as a whole. And the last year was an excellent year, because I had the opportunity also to get closer to Austrian installers and also European installers that were coming in-house. And I was able to provide them with fresh and handy knowledge about how to make the right PV design, make the right installation, and also how to work with digital solutions. So it's a little bit, and I'm excited about what would happen today, and open to share this open discussion to all of you.
Thank you for introduction. So now I want to start with an opening question. So I had on Wednesday a lecture, and our teacher was saying, we more or less have 5 years to cut dramatically our CO2 emission to reach the 1.5 goal. And I was like, okay, I'm interested how this should work. Therefore, I want to ask you, how do you see the optimal energy market and the optimal use of resources for the energy market in 2030?
Optimal use of resources.
How the energy market should look like.
Okay, well, starting from that point, we all as European citizens, so right now that I have integrated myself in this community, I'm informed about the national energy and climate plans that started in 2021, and then they will continue until 2030. And each European country has different goals. Of course, each nation has their own targets, and those targets are related with digitization, energy efficiency, decarbonization. When it comes to energy resources, as I get the point, how can we efficiently use our resources? Well, decarbonization, in that sense, we're trying to get rid of the fossil fuels. So there will be less consumption of oil and gas, right, as a resource, because it's damaging our environment, and that's obvious. So trying, in an effort to reduce the carbon footprint from European countries, there are several programs and policies. So not only that are coming directly to the end user, also are translated to regulations for industries, for example.
So I will pick up the question a bit different and from the angle of the market, if this was the question, because it's a really important part of our energy system, how the market works. And this year was a really crazy situation at the market. I mean, we have seen prices over 1,000 euros, so that's 10 times more than normal, or even more. And there was a huge discussion if EU should intervene in the market to make it work. And I'm glad they did not intervene. I mean, I would say we've seen and learned a lot how the market should work different. But in the end, it's working at the cost of high inflation rate. But we managed in the EU to have energy supply or secured energy supply at very high prices. But no demand destruction did happen, or not a huge demand destruction, so that companies would go somewhere else. So from that angle, we should take all the learnings we can take and think over our market design, because now the market design is really made for fossil fuels. And that's how it worked all the years. And now the production is changing a lot. And now we should reconsider how the market is working. But there are good some good things popping up, like power purchase agreements, so huge wind power plant operators, they can sell their energy, for example, directly to producing industry. So you can buy in advance cheap renewable energy, and that's the only good thing about this crisis, is that it showed us that renewable energy is a lot cheaper than fossil energy. So on the spot market these days, we see, especially in Germany, every day when we have high wind production, the market prices are dropping a lot. And then if we have no renewable production, they rise a lot. So I think that's the only good thing about this situation. It showed us renewable energy sources, it's the way to go. But till 2030, I doubt that we will reach that 1.5 goal. I think we already missed the bus.
Hopefully not.
I think that's the point where for the same opinion. I remember the first oil price shock in 1973. 1973. And everybody was excited, and we have to transform the system, and that's not the way to go ahead with such an amount of fossil energy and so on. Now it's about 50 years later, 50 years. And in Austria, we still have more than 60% fossil energy. We have transformed one third in the system in 50 years. So we have to transform now 2/3 of the system in 5 years. I don't think that's possible. I think it's. I'm very, very sad. I'm working now in this field for about 30 years. We discussed years for years about these topics.
Yes.
And no large projects were realized. We always talked about it. It was the Rio conference in 1992, and everybody said we have to change the system. Then was Kyoto, and never changed the system. My opinion is the market will not change it. At the moment, the chances for renewable energy are very good because fossil prices are high. That's what you mentioned. For example, we had fossil heat from natural gas for about 20 euros per megawatt hour for the last 10 years. 20 euro. A megawatt hour from a large solar plant is about beginning at 50 to 60 euros per megawatt hour. So the market will not manage this. The main problem is that the utility companies have to make a certain return of investment.
True.
And that is, for example, a rate of interest of about 6% per year. And this is an obligation for the management. They cannot do it in another way if we can get on the market gas for 20 euros. So we choose the cheapest way to provide energy, and for many years this was coal and oil, and for the last years natural gas. At the moment this system changed, but the important question is how will it be in 1 year, in 2 years, or in 3 years if gas prices are going down again. And I hope that many projects we are discussing about at the moment will be realized in the next years.
Yes.
I'm not sure. I hope it, but I'm not sure.
Yes.
So the system will not be transformed when the price is low. We need a legal framework. You can call it Klimaschutzgesetz. We need this thing. I talk with many managers from utility companies. They say we have this obligation for the return of investment. We can do otherwise if there is a legal framework. If the Austrian law says you have to do for this, they sit there and says, yes, we will make it. It's not the problem. If there is no legal framework, we are not allowed to do this because we have to make enough money for their shareholders. That's the so it's so simple is this topic.
Yeah, when we're coming to the market, in my opinion, is a structure words and a structure framework, as you said. But maybe for the people that is around, they don't. I don't know, guys. But yes, how do you see old coal or gas power plants? So you see that they have to come in a long tradition, as you say. So the energy market has been developed in that way, and recovering the internal your investment. It happens when they build the first stone. They have to wait at least 40 years, and that's true. So there's an economic background behind, of course, but what we are trying to push also, so as entrepreneurs, private companies, the citizens also that are now changing and trying to drift away from fossil fuels and join the energy transition with the deployment of renewable systems. Because this project, even though that you invest, could be a high amount for large projects, of course, there's capital that has to be put in the table. But the rate of return is at max at 20 years, right? The efficiency could be higher depending on climate conditions. Talking about Austria, is impressive how the energy market works, because Austria has a long tradition of producing renewable energy since many years. So there's hydropower plants, old ones, and there will be still new hydropower plants, but we will see those hydropower plants in small scale, so not megawatts. They will go from medium to small, and also trying to take care of the biodiversity and fauna of the Donau, for example. So Austria, the advantage that it has that its terrain is a little bit bended, so we can use the potential of the water flow to produce energy. So that's something unique, and being here is a privilege. The next part about the renewable energy deployment, right? Austria is a pioneer. So right now, it's not only hydropower plants. We can see it close to Vienna as wind turbines, and we can see it as solar photovoltaic systems. And but there are also new introduction of biomass and biogas. So the research and development of technologies is still going on. There's a nice effort from the European government to bring attractive investments also. So the budget is there, right? But of course, it's not thrown to anyone, right? So you have to bring with different approach. So before it was the aim to gain a profit, to make a profit. But right now there's a different catalyzers and there's a different synergy trying to get to social reform, right? That we have to also take care of different benefits to our society and community, and those are environmental and social benefits. And with this, probably the ambitious targets that are meant for the Paris Agreement and that are meant for the national climate and energy plans, it is ambitious targets. And it's true that countries, if they don't comply with those targets, they will receive a red card, because everyone is participating and the market is also trying to provide new channels and new participants. So now we know that there's an opportunity for new participants in the Austrian energy market as a prosumer, and the traditional, or let's say the conventional energy production market is also trying to push this new way of producing energy in a decentralized way. The goal is there, ambitious, right? But there's a lot of subsidies and funds that citizens can use to install a rooftop solar system in the rooftop, or they can also install a small scale biomass and different types of technologies that can also provide, probably not in megawatts, but and still a small proportion and small scale renewable energy plants.
I have forgotten one important effect that makes a little bit hope, I think. Investors are asking when we spend money for your business, how fit you are for decarbonizing and how fit you are for the future. That was not the case 2 or 3 or 5 years ago. That's a very new effect. Banks are calling at the city of Graz and asking, how is your climate protection program? Because we don't invest in a business that is from the last century. I think that's a little bit hope. But the problem is the velocity we are going forward is too slow. I mentioned we transferred 1/3 of the system in 50 years, so we have to speed up in an extremely way. And that's the problem. And that's not possible with the market alone. I think we need stringent legal frameworks for this.
I totally agree about regulations. You see it also with the grid extensions. We need a regulation that the grid is extended now and not when we reach the limit of renewables, and then we have to wait 10 other years before we can install new power plants. So I totally agree. It has to be sped up a lot.
I thank you for welcoming me in the circle. My name is Manuel, and I brought a question with me because when I think about energy consumption, I also think about peak load pricing. And you already said it, that the best energy is the energy that is not used, that is the most sustainable one. So I asked myself what would be an efficient way to motivate people to save energy. And maybe as a general background for everyone, the most fossil fuels in Austria are used to generate the energy when we have the peak energy use. So between 5 and 7 in the evening, usually, we have the most energy that is necessary. And especially in the winter, when there's no sun shining, we cannot produce a lot of energy renewably. Also, water energy goes down in the winter. So that is the phase where we use the most fossil fuels, especially gas, and where the prices go up the most. So we pay extreme amounts of money for the megawatt hour during this time. So it would make sense for the people to save energy exactly at this time, because the energy we save is 100% fossil fuel based energy, and it is also the most expensive energy. So that would help the prices to go down also. So that's why my question to our guests is what you think about peak load pricing, and if you think it could make a difference for energy consumption and also for reducing fossil fuel and energy production.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting concept, and we will see it more the next years. I mean, we've seen variable prices. So where you have as an end customer a spot price, you can use it if you have a smart meter with a quarter hour, which you have a load profile, the quarter hour. In Scandinavia, they use it already a lot. By 2026, every energy provider has to have such tariffs. And that's also something we work a lot on, is to shave the peaks also in industry, because in the private sector you don't pay for the power, you just pay for the energy, but you don't pay if you use 10 kilowatt or 50. I mean, 50 would be a lot in the private sector, but the industry already pays more for the power they need. So it's also a lot difference in money what they pay in the end. And in the industry, everything is about money. If they can save energy, they can save money, then they want to save energy. And it would be smart to do that in the private sector also, but you need to have consumers you can shift, like turning on your washing machine at another time, or if you're privileged and have an electric vehicle, then you can charge it at another time. Or you have a heat pump, then you can shift the times where the heat pump is running. So we are also taking a look a bit into that, developing smart algorithms which use the heat capacity of buildings and shift the times where heat pumps are running, or the times where the heat boiler for warm water are running, because those are the really low-hanging fruits, actually. That's mini storages a lot of buildings already have. So that could help the energy system a lot. It could save 1 or 2 fossil plants not going on the grid, if you could shave things.
I had a look on my mobile phone. We have about 2 gigawatts at the moment from natural gas plants. Now in the evening, at the moment, I think that's very important for the future, what you said. I heard for the first time for smart meters, I think 10 years ago, and the utility took away my old Ferrari's meter in the last year. So it took time for too long. Most people, they're rolling out is running at the moment. The meters are changed at the moment in the households, and of course you need a smart meter, otherwise you cannot make this concept. But I think it's very important. And What also is important that you have high CO2 pricing, not a CO2 pricing with 3 or 5 euro per ton, how it was some years ago. We collected about 200 measures here in the city of Graz, how we can transform our own city system. And we made many calculations, how are the costs to avoid 1 ton of CO2. And the average of these measures is about 300 euros per ton, 300. And so if you have a CO2 pricing for 3 euros, 5 euros or 30 euros, that's not relevant. The problem is that if you emit a ton of CO2 and you don't have a technology that will not do this, you have costs of 300 euros in the next years. And that was not the topic in investment planning in the last years.
Is it now a topic?
We are talking about it.
Actually,
It's changing at the moment. I think the speed is too low, but it changed. The system changed very much in the last 2, 3, 4 years, since Greta Thunberg said at the bottom. The discussion changed in a dramatically way. We had a program 10 years ago to make insulations at our city buildings. We have about 400 buildings in the city of Graz that own to the city of Graz. We made a program that was named 10 to 10 buildings, 10 for 10 years. If we had done this, we would have 100 fit buildings now at the moment. This was completely cancelled because the natural gas price was so low. Everybody said heating is so cheap, we don't need insulations. That's true.
Yes.
Yeah, and you have to say it's 3/4 of the energy in the private sector is heating or thermal energy and not electricity.
Can I answer you in a more friendly way? Not talking about kilowatt hours. So that's the peak price is in cents per kilowatt, and the distributors are talking about megawatts. One question, Manuel. Do you think that we as a humans need energy?
yes, of course.
Yes. Okay. It's valid. What I think that we need is comfort, shelter, illumination, and transport. And that to provide a quality of life, right? So everyone has different habits. Everyone wakes up differently during the night. But as we are sharing one region of the world, so we work on our schedule from the sunrise until dawn. And from there, we are quite active, and this is our nature, right? When we are talking about, so there's a reason that the energy price is costly at these times, at these short periods of the day, and it's because everyone wakes up and turn on their coffee machines. Everyone is showering with hot water. Everyone is doing something like for breakfast when they're coming from work. So there's very descriptive behavior of citizens or humans in the whole sense when you look to how the peak loads shows. So when does the energy price, and that's why it's variable and dynamic. So yesterday it was not the same price as the that exactly at this moment the energy is at this price. Also because the climate conditions are also influencing if people stays at home or not. I think that the cheapest energy is not the one that we don't consume. I think the cheapest energy is the one that we can save, of course, but also that we can produce from ourselves and use it at the right time, right? So there's a high interest from different families that are doing clever investment and taking decisions to install both solar system and battery energy storage system in their homes. So using a battery, right, for the times that the sun is not shining on top of their PV modules. So the best thing to do, of course, is use the energy when it's available, but most of the time we are not at home, right? But there are intelligent devices, so these new assets, innovative assets that you can program your loads and also take the right decision, for example, to charge your electric vehicle. So in that sense, when people start to use and start to adapt their human behavior or their routine to the times when energy is costly, can help them. For that, of course, we need digitization in the energy market, right? But let's say smart meters, right? The rollout, I'm really impressed that you were participating in the rollout of the smart meter. It's not totally completed, and it is a nice way to inform people, and with this information to help them clever decisions or better informed decisions when is the right time to consume their energy. So you will decide either is the best option to start to consume energy right now, or I can wait. For example, right now I can share a little bit. I use the washing machine during the night. Of course, probably I bother the neighbor, but I hope my building is well insulated against noises, because that's the thing. This is my way also to save a little bit of save energy and reflected on my energy yield. Save energy also because I'm using my washing machine with cold water, and I'm using energy at the time when it is cheap. And I'm also trying to change my habits by doing small actions.
Okay, so to sum this up, actually, I got 3 times a yes. Peak load pricing can make sense, right? But it will still take some time because we need the rollout of the smart meters, which is not completed yet. And there need to be solar panels or some kind of energy production installed that people can save. So also, again, the problem of saving energy is relevant. And thirdly, there needs to be the behavior of people needs to be changed.
I go for the behavior,
term, and this will take some time.
Yeah,
of course.
Yes.
Yeah, what we are also a bit talking about in the company is, I mean, energy efficiency is really important, but there are also these negative feedback loops. If a resource gets cheaper, you use it more. If you drive electric car, you have this rebound, and that's all about behavior, because we could actually do a lot of stuff by just not buy things we don't need, because it does not make any sense producing things we don't need really efficient. So it's a huge topic in many ways.
Yes.
I think you wanted to add something?
Of course, it's very important to make your own energy, but you have to look if you have the opportunity for it. And I think that's a great difference if you are living in a family home in the landscape, or you are here in a flat in a house with 2, 3, or 4 stores. Because you need area for it. You need area. You need square meters for photovoltaics, and the problem is that you don't have this in city areas in the amount you need. The city of Graz has a need of about 2,000 gigawatt hours of electricity per year. To produce this with photovoltaic areas would use about 20 square kilometers. This is about 20% of the whole city area. So you have the problem that we change peak oil to peak soil. That's the problem. And we don't have a legal framework how areas will be used in the next decades, where you can install large plants for. We mentioned before. Before this discussion started, the big solar project of the Energie Steiermark, and there are always three problems. You have to find the area, you have to find the area, you have to find the area. If you have the area, you can produce energy.
Sure.
Victoria?
My name is Victoria. I study environmental science and I work in research on energy storage in Technik University. And I actually have a lot of questions, but I will start with energy storage since it came up a little, because I did research on long duration energy storage, and a lot of interviewers for my research, they mentioned that there is no market now, and it's like very small, and it very hinders the development of technology per se, but we need long duration storage for long duration storage.
Long deviation.
Long duration, like
duration.
Over
Okay,
6
okay.
hours, like
Okay.
6, 8, 10, 12 hours, if we want a lot, like deep penetration of renewables into the grid, which is not there yet, and it's very like egg and chicken and the egg, like whether we're waiting for the market to develop or we somehow foster the development of storage. And I just wanted to know, how is it in Austria? Where is it, or like in Graz, is it considered to roll out the energy storage? Because we are rolling out so many projects of renewables, but if you don't store it, it's useless.
Energy storage not only in batteries. So you are not only talking about.
Well, there are technologies like,
Yeah.
but just not. That's the thing. When you talk
Okay.
about batteries, do you mean what batteries do you mean?
Okay, natural storage,
Like,
pump up water systems.
yeah, it's a yeah.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. It's
So-
not a battery. Yeah.
Yes, when you're talking about the long lasting or the capacity of storage of a battery, it has been presented right for different multiple solutions. So we know that our cell phone can hold a certain amount of energy and provide so a service for certain hours. The industry has been looking to different options for end customers, not only to provide small batteries, and there is still a long of research studies that are trying to provide different types of batteries. There will be batteries for cars. So we know about Tesla, which is a long runner, but we also see different brands that are coming into the market, and they are also providing these same brands battery storage systems for houses. The thing that they are doing is to change the chemical in it to be safe. That's the main topic, and of course be energy efficient, that can hold a greater capacity of energy in the capacity cells. So it is not well developed in a point, right, that the availability is not there. So I have heard from suppliers that, okay, we are presenting to the public that we have this battery, but there will be only 500 for the whole market. So if you are really interested in something, you should get closer to the manufacturer, and the manufacturer will provide with the solution. That you don't have to wait that much, because the solution is there and it works perfectly, and it's a great way to, for example, in this region of the world, that the sun hours through the year are different, for example, from the South Spain or compared to Mexico. So you need to store energy somehow for the winter months. to provide you with comfort, shelter, illumination, and transport. And that's the thing, that by making the right system design and including new technologies and interacting with your system, that you can increase the self-consumption. That's the word. Being able to increase the self-consumption, so at the time that the energy is produced, that you can use it, and if you are not using it, at least I'm charging my electric car, or at least I'm saving energy in my battery energy storage system. And that's an efficient way to first increase your self-consumption. You are independent from the costly energy prices, and you will also get a faster amortization of your system. So that's the main benefits by looking into this technology as an end user.
When you're talking about batteries, do you mean lithium-ion batteries or like some other
Yes, there's
on the market?
yes, Fe, ferrous iron. If I'm not mistaken, there's this chemical. I don't have it right now, have it in the tip of my tongue, but there's, and probably you have seen, like there's a little graph that shows you different points of energy capacity, security, and stuff. The thing that they were concerned about installing big batteries close to houses, it was that they were turning on fire.
Yeah.
But the new generation of batteries are safer, at least in this type of measures, that they can still running depending on harsh conditions. So if there's increased temperature in the room, they don't turn on fire. So they are secure, and they're also trying to provide the customer the idea that it's safe to install it in your house, and nothing will happen by having your energy stored and use it in the winter times when it's needed.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are different approaches, like vehicle to grid is discussed now a bit, and this storages for private households, but they are expensive, and I'm not sure if this is the way to go now, because they are expensive. They are mostly like 10-20 kilowatt hours, which is not a lot. I mean, we are talking really in megawatt hours, terawatt hours. We need to store a lot of energy, and there are a huge potential. I think is the sector coupling, where you shift loads maybe into district heating nets, into that you shift when you heat buildings. I mean, a building can store a lot of energy, or some buildings can. So I think there will be many different solutions. They will be part of the whole concept. And I think also extending the grids again will be really important, because the larger the grid is the more we could shift energy from Graz to Germany, or from the north of Germany back in the south. They, for example, have a huge problem by getting their energy in the south. And then there are also the concepts of creating hydrogen or other synthetic fuels with the renewable energy, which is too much for the moment. So before they get off the grid, you produce some kind of renewable fuel. But as you work or research in this topic, which kind of storage you would go for, or what's your experience?
My research is focused on a particular technology, and that's why I have kind of a one-sided perception, because I'm talking to producers and the players of this market, which is redox flow battery.
Yeah.
It's it's not developed to the point that it's very expensive. So it's at the demonstration stage, and obviously a household cannot afford it. Also, it's huge, so it's more for the grid scale and more for the maybe industry that they have the surface to have this storage installed, and a lot of them are saying that the problem is that European Commission, like European Union, doesn't have a plan for rolling out the storage, so you cannot secure that the market will be there. And that's why it's hard for them to get investment and to actually develop their technology and have more demonstration projects. And then you have lithium ion and Elon Musk and Tesla lobbying very hard for lithium, which is burning, which is on fire. And it's like they're waiting for support, because it could be that this technology could be the solution in the future, because they can store theoretically unlimited amount of energy, in theory. But if lithium takes this space, it's not just going to happen. The years, decades of research will be just flushed down the toilet. But I wanted to get a different perspective, because obviously there were some critical perspectives from my interviewers, but most of them are like hopeful and yes, we're going to get the market. But as you say, there's a lot of other solutions for storing the energy, or like
maybe just
using
wait
it more
until
efficiently.
lithium is out, or it's monopoled by China.
It's also,
which could happen quite
yes,
soon.
this is another consideration, because there's a lot of brain here in Europe regarding this technology. But who is installing it, and where they're even installing, companies from Austria installing it in the US, because there is the market now, because there is support. And China is also installing it there because government supports it. Japan, because government supports it. Korea, because government supports it. But we are losing the chances here, kind of.
But so we already know it works. There are the demo plans showing that
There's a battery working for 15 years, a Japanese one.
Yeah. And it's a lot easier to dispose, right?
You can recycle it.
Yeah. That's the problem.
I think if we have to phase out from 60% of fossil energy, we need every technology that is useful in the next years. But in the field of energy storage, I think the most important topic for the next years will be seasonal storage. In thermal energy, heat for heating, and also in energy for electricity. I think it's a little bit curious when the Austrian Federal Ministry says we will be fossil-free in electricity on a yearly basis. We have too much in summer, and we have less electricity in winter. We must have it at the time when we need it. All our electricity is not useful, so we have to store, and that's one of the main problems for the next year. I think not the generation of the electricity, but how can you store the kilowatt hours from summer to times like now, when it's dark, when there is no wind. I don't know if you have had a look in December on the electricity production in Germany. We had about 50% of coal in the middle of December, because we had this called Dunkelflaute. There was for 2 weeks there was no sun and no wind, and then you have very, very large storage capacities.
But is the solutions like discussed already, or it's just the topic for the future? Is there like any plan for rolling out storage capacities? No.
I'm your opinion that there should be some regulation from the European Union, but I don't see it.
Yeah.
I mentioned I worked at a research and development department, and we had if we had talks with the management about the budget for the next years, where we can make some investigations, the first question was, is there a legal obligation? When we said no, next question, will there be a legal obligation? Next answer, no, we don't know. Next topic, no money for this project.
So you think it is really important that we build a better legal structure for it, so that we have more legal recommendations? And how do you see the role of the EU in this?
I think the main part for this is now at the national level. I think what we need is the very famous Klimaschutzgesetz.
And is there any way that we as individuals can actually help to transform our energy sector? Have we in any way the possibility to, for example, produce energy with, for example, photovoltaic ourselves and sell it? And how do we sell it best? Is there any kind of way that we can already do that?
You can make, it's called in Austria Energiegemeinschaft. It's possible about I think about 2 years now from the legal framework. But the feedback that we become about this topic is very complicated at the moment. You must have people in your community that care about this. They spend very much time to manage this. They bear the risk for it, etc. So it's possible, but it's not easy. And also here the problem is it's very slow. I think I don't think if we have 0 or 1 Energiegemeinschaft in Graz until now. After 2 years, we should have. I think if it's a good system, we should have 500 Energiegemeinschaft in the city of
Maybe
Graz.
just show this an explanation for me, as I'm not from Austria. What does this Energiegemeinschaft mean?
This means that you can produce and sell in a community. You don't have the energy utility because we can make Energiegemeinschaft. You have a roof and I have the consumption.
And if we are close
because
to each
this
other,
was not possible until 2 years ago.
And the advantage is you can agree on the price. So we two can say 10 cents. Okay, and you save the grid. The grid cost, or up to 60% of the grid cost, and some tax. So actually you save quite a lot of money. The problem now was the high energy prices, and it was a really good deal to feeding in the grid or in the market, because you got a lot more money than being in the energy community. So we had really a lot of paradox things in the market or in the whole system.
If I may hop into this Energiegemeinschaften-Thema, apart from the bureaucratic disaster, what about if this Energiegemeinschaften would be thought on a higher level, like for example that, let's say, a nationwide Energiegemeinschaft where everybody can participate financially, the money is put together and the power plants are made centralized or a couple places in the country. What is the technical problem with this? Maybe the legal problem with this? What about this idea? Because we talked about the market itself. What about if you subsidize the market drastically and like a from the people financed own energy non-profit company that only pays its customers, has no profit and has only had to save the profits, for example, maintenance and future renovations. What about this?
I'm not the specialist for the federal Austrian level, but I think I have an idea why this is a problem.
Yeah.
You have to stabilize the grid for about 8,000 hours a year. And you have many persons that want to deliver energy with their photovoltaics, if a sunny day or with wind.
It's a technical problem, right? Yeah.
It's a technical problem. You have to stabilize the grid for 8,000 hours. And therefore you need the utility companies, because you need large thermal power plants. Mellach, the gas power plant, has a power capacity of about 1,600 megawatts. And if the grid is going down, if the frequency is going down, they start this and stabilize it. You need these utilities. I know it from the district heating system. We have many people that they come to us and want to deliver us heat in the summer. It's no joke. Heat in the summer. The district heating system in Graz is also running in summertime for production of warm water, but we don't know this delivery. Nobody is coming to us and says, I have heat in January if there is outside the temperature of minus 15 degrees. Nobody is coming. That's the problem, to make the balance in the system.
But there are some concepts to what you said. There are crowd-financed power plants, like, I don't know if you know the company WB Windkraft. They're quite huge now. They have 250 wind parks all over the globe. But they started in a garage and said, okay, we want to do this, we need money. We collected from a crowd and everyone could put in their money, buying shares, and you can now buy shares. And they finance the wind parks, and by that they grew the biggest wind power plant operator in Austria.
You can also buy shares for photovoltaic equipment. Also here in Graz at the Energie Graz.
Yeah, of course, but I'm talking about how to say, to make it like a
macro
community thing.
Politics don't want its communism. What you want? Sorry, I'm not in a circle, but what you want?
The problem is politics.
But no, it can be a company itself with its shareholders that invested from other people who are in it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, people are getting this energy that is produced. The company itself also sells it, or it can be exported or whatever. Technically I'm a noob, but
but then you have a new energy provider on the market in the end.
Yeah, but we get rid of the problem that Mr. Prutsch mentioned with the shareholders and the dividends that need to be paid, and no?
Okay.
Because there are no dividends.
But if you have shares, you want that your shares stay minimum the equal.
Yeah. No.
For that you need to have some output.
Yeah, you get the electricity.
So you buy it in advance.
Yeah.
Actually.
Exactly. It's like you don't transfer the money to Energie Steiermark, you transfer it to the company. And it's getting invested, the money is reinvested in the other, but you have to, it would need to be calculated out properly.
So before, so in 2021, the renewable expansion Gesetz law, renewable expansion law, allowed jointly produce, consume, sell, transfer, and store renewable energy, right? And the public that can participate are citizens, municipalities, small, medium enterprises, associations. And there's one condition. There should be no economic aim. The social is very important, and the environmental. So there are two goals behind a renewable energy community. That is to provide a benefit to the community in the form of social benefit and environmental benefit.
Okay.
Before the renewable energy communities existed, I heard about these projects that the municipalities, let's say 100 families, they put money from their pocket to bring one wind turbine. And this wind turbine, they will pay all the electricity that they are consuming. So they pay upfront to produce the energy. And of course, if there's an excess energy which is fed into the grid, they can also profit from that. There's also this concept that is attached to the renewable energy communities, that besides that they act on a non-economic basis, right? They are also able to get benefits, so cost reductions in the use of the grid, for example. So there are many approaches for renewable energy communities that look convenient to participate in. The thing is it the right way to do it? Because what we want is energy security. Could be secure because renewable energy communities are connected to the public grid still. So it's not that they are autonomous, they are connected to the public grid. They are producing the energy to satisfy the energy demand of the participants. So it is a joint participation, community-driven project that will provide decarbonization and decentralization of the electricity production.
But I don't know if decentralizing it is
decentralizing
is the answer, because imagine every citizen would buy a PV system.
Yes.
It's himself, right?
Yes.
He pays a much higher price for everything. It would be much more efficient if everybody would buy it together.
Yep, that's the main purpose of a renewable energy community, that at least two persons can form a legal figure to create a renewable energy. There's a renewable energy community. So that a legal figure, right, to form, and this could be one person talking with so one initiator is the name. One initiator that goes to one person that holds a big rooftop, and this rooftop it is I don't know, the tribune from a soccer field, and the energy that is produced can also provide energy to the houses that are in the surrounding area.
I get this all.
Yeah.
My question was to centralize it, not literally on one spot, but maybe in every Bundesland to do this.
Okay.
And how this technically can even work out, apart from the winter problem.
What you describe is the energy
Gigamannschaft.
community,
Yes.
Energiegemeinschaft. I think the idea in the federal government some years ago were there is a several-story building with about 50 young families, and we are sitting in the garden and drinking some bottles of beer and say, "Oh, we make an energy community." That was the idea, but it doesn't work in this way. I said it's possible now for about 2 years to make this, and we have no one here in the city of Graz. We also talked about it in the city government. We have many school buildings with roofs. You have the highest amount of electricity in July and August when nobody is in the school buildings. So this would principally a good idea to take the flats in the surrounding and to deliver the electric energy. But the business model is not interesting.
But regarding the time, I think I would give the
I have one question, sorry.
I discussed this question all along.
My name is Azam and I am studying sustainable development. And I have one question, maybe it's like common question between all of you. So what is the relation between waste management and energy efficiency for solar panels? So have you considered this concept like in your strategies, like waste management for the solar panels, and at the same time increase the efficiency of energy producing by these panels?
Okay. Coming to the efficiency of a PV module, right now I think it's around 20% of the irradiation that can be transformed into electrical energy, and depends on the silicon. There's monosilicon that are the standard for the industry, but there are also the ones that are put into the space which has a higher efficiency, but they are of course costly. the other part that you are talking.
Waste management.
Best.
Waste.
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 Waste management
Yeah.
of okay.
If the module is at the end of life.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I want to relate the efficiency of solar panels
Okay.
to the waste management
Okay.
of these panels.
I mean the life cycle.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
What
I
do
mean,
you do
it's-
with it in 20 years?
Yes. Okay. Every solar PV module manufacturer will give you degradation graph, and this degradation graph explains you how after. So it guarantees that for the next 20 years will provide you at least 85% of their maximum capacity of production, right? And it comes in the technical, and as soon as you buy it from the manufacturer, you will receive it. And it is around about per year is, as they count, 5% per year degradation of the efficiency. From that point of view, the technology is not that you open it. It's true that as soon as you open it and gets direct contact, you lose 2% of the efficiency just by that. And the rest will degrade by put the solar panel in the harsh conditions, soiling, increased temperatures, and that's why a right installation on a rooftop or in a photovoltaic integrated to a building, you have to consider all these factors influencing the PV module to increase the efficiency, because it's true that even though that you have invested in a PV module 20 years ago, it still provides energy after the 20 years. So it's not that you are or you have to disconnect it and throw it after 20 years. They will still produce. But imagine that we invest today. Obviously, the technology will improve, and there will be a new technology in, I hope so, for the next 20 years. And nowadays, what the industry is providing related with the circular economy is to use materials in the electronics, in the frame, that can be recycled. And
that's the question.
Yeah.
Yes. And
what's at the end of life?
The end of life. Okay.
So, so do you have like a specific fact to prove that in the landfill we don't have any recycled or like the solar panels that are out of usage? No. Do you have any fact for that, or is going to under the develop in the few years?
No, of course, the industry has looked to this problematic, because by talking about sustainability is involving every part of it. So the circular economy, it is a new topic.
Yeah.
That is nowadays, that is a responsibility for the producer to provide with a product that can be mostly recyclable. PV modules are, I don't know exactly what's the percentage, but the materials are that they are built of, they are also reused to produce second life products. But there's companies I have encountered myself in the Intersolar in München with people that is taking care, and there's also projects that they also bring the PV modules and bring it to Africa, for example.
Yeah.
And they try to extend the life of the module, or when it's not working anymore. So there's already let's say second life effect that can be recycled after the waste is generated.
Exactly. Can I have another question, or my turn is finished? Because
maybe let her.
Yeah.
My question is about.
Come back later. I think you wanted to add something before. Or,
No, I think it's a really good question, because at the one hand, if you produce something, especially in the energy sector, it has to produce the energy you put in to produce it by its own. So the last studies I read, it was about 2 years for a solar panel, and then you have another 18, 25 years where it's really producing plus energy. And you have this for wind power plants, also this kind of studies. And I mean, it's also, cars are a big topic always. Is electric car more efficient if it comes to the production and compared to a combustion engine?
Yeah.
So I think it's a really important topic. And when it comes to the disposal and the recycling, I can tell.
Okay,
I think
you and then we come to your question.
there is
Okay.
not real capacity to recycle these PV panels, but I think panels that are 30 years old now at the end of life, this is a very small amount at the moment. And I think this situation will change in the next decades, and then there will be the plants to recycle. It's the same question with the batteries of electric cars. What shall I do with my battery at the end of life? So long, if there are 20 electric cars in the city of Graz, that's no topic for the industry, for the market. But if there are thousands of panels or thousands of batteries, then there will be the recycling company, the recycling facilities. Yeah. I think that will not be the problem. At this topic, the market will work. I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So my question is also in this direction about how sustainable is really renewable energy, because we think about the end of the life of the batteries, but when we go back to how they're produced, for example, the other day I watched a video of a cobalt mine in Congo, so like how they produce the lithium batteries. And it was really sad because it was filled with people. It was about like thousands of people. I don't know how much, mining it with bare hands. And the person who was taking the video was staying there and saying, look, like in the protocol, it says nobody should do this. Like it's not happening. But in reality, this is happening. And this is where the batteries for Tesla come from. This is where the batteries of all our phones come from. And how can we call something like this sustainable when it basically diminishes like the basic human rights, the human condition? And that's like calling a fast fashion brand sustainable because they used sustainable cotton, but their workers are paid $1 a day. And also another example of that, I saw also a video about, it was in Mexico. So there was this Spanish company who was doing a wind park in a village in Mexico. And they were promising the people that they're gonna have, like, they're gonna get some money out of this, it's gonna be better, whatever. At the end, they built the turbines. And what actually happened, because of all this noise of them, they had like farms, they had animals, they had everything. The people after that, they didn't get, of course, any money. The quality of life was really, really low. And the animals didn't want to produce the food. So like the cows didn't give the milk, the chickens didn't give the eggs. They were like less and less animals, and they couldn't even like do what they used to do to sustain themselves and do the animal production and everything. So my question is, how can this change? How can we make this type of energy really sustainable, also taking care of human rights?
That's a big question. No, it's true. Sometimes when you are buying a product, or for example, that you want to promote a certain technology, so when you are working in this field, you have to think in this way. Okay, I have my values, I have my moral, my background education. Of course, I'm privileged right now by saying this in a calm situation surrounded by people that are also trying to get educated, and we don't see what is happening behind. Exactly. Right? Yes. At certain point, as because I did it, I have to trust the source, right? I have to trust the manufacturer, and the thing is that what is important is to make conscious decisions by buying every product, by consuming energy, being aware of what of your actions, and being conscious about what is happening after, to trying to be more sustainable. What I can say about it, that there's companies that are putting their effort to prove to their market, to their customers, how they are producing in a sustainable way, and they are presenting life cycle assessments. So that's also an information that will tell you as a comparative and as a figure, you will receive the CO2 emissions that are produced after this product comes into the front of your door. And that's the part of trying to rely on this type of producers that are also doing research, and they are trying to improve their supply lines, and they are also trying to remunerate with dignity to their workers, because those are the companies that are the pioneers. The thing is that something that I don't want just to throw it that way, like buy local.
Yes.
Because it is something that, at least in the country that I come from, is really attached to our roots. So because also we have a border with the United States that are highly capitalist, and that they all also trying to. So they see us as the disposal backyard, right? And we are highly influenced by the lifestyle of them. So it's also something that I learned while I was living in Mexico, that there's people that it is really attached to their roots, to their land, and they try to produce bio. They try to produce not this type of technology. And that's why I have written Simple Life, High Thinking. So it is not always to have the best technology in your hand. It's not always the best technology in your house. And at the end, there should be a reason behind. Of course, we are privileged in being right now sitting in a university, and also in a first world country. But every country has their own problematic. And right now we are talking about the energy crisis. But it's true that as students and young professionals, as a human being, we should do care about the decisions that we're taking and the products that we're consuming, because at the end, you can also help on the other side. What we don't see, we can also contribute on that matter.
But it's also true that we don't see a lot of things, because greenwashing is getting so big that we sometimes don't even realize, because also like Tesla says they're super sustainable, everything. Also like Apple and all these companies, they'll present you the protocols, but in the end it's not going to be sustainable. And there's the problem at the end, how do we really know it's sustainable? Because greenwashing is everywhere. Everybody can lie, everybody can outsource like the combat mines and everything somewhere else and just lie. And
I think we could discuss this for hours. But I think we got a little bit off topic now. But also regarding the time, I think I would then start maybe with the wrap up, or do you want to add something on that?
My answer to this question is it's a very, very sad thing about the mines in Congo, etc. But it's not a special problem of renewable energy. It's the problem of many, many products we use. Years ago, nobody asked where the cotton is coming from for the next shirt, etc. And my personal thing is I used this mobile phone for 7 years. I was fighting with it. I think Samsung has here some special software that it will stop. I fight it with it. At last, a part of the switch was broken out, so I made this special construction here with this piece of wood. And you can start it again with this. But now the computer department here in the city of Graz said it's not safe from the software, so I had to take a new one. But for me, it's okay. I use it with this. This is a part of an Eskimo ice. And so, yes, that's
it's upcycling.
Innovation.
Yeah. this nice phone, I would like to ask for final words of you, and we would like to know what is your key takeaway message for us as students, as citizens of Graz, as people who live in Austria from this evening and this discussion about sustainable energy. What do you want to give us on the way home as last words?
Well, I hope that everyone got a bit from our experience and also about the way that we see the future. As we started, this will be complicated. It's not an easy path. The energy transition needs the common action of each individual, and we can also join different programs. Not only in Europe, also there's many programs around the world that are inviting young entrepreneurs and young activists to work in this field and to provide higher quality of life to every family in the world.
Well said. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, of course, it's a super interesting topic, and I feel privileged that I found something I really love to work on every day. And if you're interested in it or some topic, just do it. And I mean, there's so much to do. It's still a really long way to go. So we need lots more of people going into that field and changing something. And yeah, if you want to see a tiny bit of change, check out NISTA. It's really cool.
My message to young people is stay tuned, stay interested. It's very much work to do. In 1969, I saw the first man standing on the moon, and John F. Kennedy said, "We don't do this because it's easy, because we do it because it's hard." And I think that will be the message for the next years. It is much work to do, but there will be very, very interesting and good jobs for all of you in the future. And I think that's the good news from this team.
Thank you. So if you want to contact our speakers, we have here for you would be QR codes, which will lead you to their LinkedIn page. So if you have more questions, feel free to write them. I hope that's okay. And also, yeah, we want to thank you all now that you were coming, and also especially to our speakers. We have a little present for you. I hope you like it.
Okay, yeah, thanks a
Also
lot.
with some nice stickers.
Thank you very much. We hope so. It's organic.
Don't worry, be okay.
Yeah. Thank you to the audience. Thank you that you participated actively in the discussion. Actually, we prepared a lot of questions and we could only ask the first one. But that's how it should work. I'm really happy about it. So, but before you go, we have collected some additional information for you regarding energy consumption that will lead you to a short summary. It is also on our webpage where you can find some easy hands-on tricks how to reduce your own energy demands, or what we learned today, that you should wash your clothes during the night to shift the peaks. And yeah, we have also podcasts are there and interesting websites also of the city of Graz where a lot of interesting information is collected. You can also find this on the oikos webpage. Yes, then. So, I hope you liked our talk, and we'll come to our next. And our next talks will be at the 13th March and at the 1st June. And the first and next talk will be about technology, and the next about social lifestyle. And yeah, we will post about this on our Instagram webpage as well and on our webpage. So thank you for coming, and I hope we see us again in our next talk. And if you got interested about oikos, we are always happy about people who join us. And our next team meeting is in 3 weeks at the 2nd February. So you can come and join us And yeah, thank you for coming and have a good night.
Just to start additional information, the